Hello, Rams fans. The week is flying by, and before you know it, May will be gone. Things are heating up behind the scenes at the LA Rams, and I want to share some recent developments with you. There's a lot to discuss, including news about Puka Nacua, trade rumors involving MAXX CROSBY, talks about A.J. Brown, and even some fascinating information about why the Rams approached the quarterback position the way they did during the draft. And honestly, I disagree with some things right now. I'll tell you all about it in a moment. But before we go any further, make sure you've hit the like button hard. But only do that if you believe in and really want to see the Rams in the Super Bowl again. If possible, write something like, "Go Rams. My heart bleeds blue, white, and yellow." Well, before talking about Puka Nacua, I want to talk about this issue involving Crosby. The big discussion among Rams fans now revolves around MAXX CROSBY, and most fans seem to have reached the same conclusion. The cost simply isn't worth it. Many fans believe Los Angeles should prioritize a wide receiver 3 and keep their valuable draft picks instead of investing heavily in Crosby. Others pointed out that Byron Young shouldn't be included in any trade, mainly because the team already has promising young defensive talents, alongside Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. There's also concern about the future financial impact, as several key players will need new contracts soon. Meanwhile, some fans praised the selection of Ty Simpson, believing it gave the Rams more freedom for future trades without desperately needing quarterbacks in 2027. And despite the frustration over A.J. Brown's potential move to the Patriots, many believe Les Snead can still surprise with another strategic move. Now, I want to bring updates on Puka Nacua. According to new information from the California Attorney General's office, no formal charges have been filed against Puka so far, and the situation may proceed through a pretrial diversion program. This is extremely important news for the Rams, as it potentially prevents the situation from becoming much more damaging in the long run. Discussions regarding pretrial diversion include possibilities such as counseling or community service instead of formal charges, which is obviously a much better outcome for both the player and the organization. And let's be honest here, the Rams absolutely need Puka Nacua fully focused and available moving forward, because this offense is built around him becoming one of the faces of the franchise. What he accomplished so early in his career completely changed the expectations for this offense. Defenses already treat him like a true #1 target, and Sean McVay knows he has someone special. The chemistry with Matthew Stafford is undeniable, and every indication from this organization continues to point toward Puka becoming one of the foundational stars of the Rams' future. So seeing this situation potentially moving away from formal charges is definitely something the Rams are relieved about internally. But once that update came out, the conversation immediately shifted toward something else that has Rams fans buzzing right now, and that's the growing belief that Les Snead may still have another big move coming. The Rams have been linked to several possible trade scenarios lately, and one NFL insider explained something that really changes the way we should view the Rams' entire offseason strategy. According to reporting connected to the organization, one major reason the Rams decided to take quarterback Ty Simpson earlier than some expected was because they did not want to protect future 2027 draft picks during a Super Bowl window. Think about that for a second, because it tells you everything about how aggressive this franchise wants to be. By drafting Ty Simpson now, the Rams believe they created flexibility later. Instead of entering future off-seasons desperately needing draft capital to chase a quarterback, they now feel free to use those future premium picks in blockbuster trade discussions if the right opportunity appears. That is a massive shift philosophically. It means the Rams are treating this current roster like a legitimate contender that only needs a few more pieces. And honestly, when you look at this roster carefully, it's hard not to understand the confidence. Matthew Stafford is still capable of elite-level football when protected properly. Puka Nacua is emerging into superstardom. Davante Adams brings veteran experience and route-running brilliance. Sean McVay remains one of the best offensive minds in football. And defensively, the Rams believe they are closer to dominance again than many analysts realize. So from their perspective, why wait? Why hold on to future picks if this roster can legitimately compete right now? That brings us directly into the A.J. Brown conversation, because this rumor has followed the Rams for a while now. There were fans dreaming about what an offense with Puka Nacua and A.J. Brown together would look like, and honestly, it would have been terrifying for the rest of the league. Imagine Stafford throwing to those two in Sean McVay's system. Defensive coordinators would lose sleep trying to prepare for that combination. But according to the latest information circulating around league insiders, discussions involving A.J. Brown and the Rams appear to be finished, with expectations now leaning heavily toward the New England Patriots eventually landing him instead. Even though that rumor may be fading away, it still tells us something important about the Rams' mindset. This organization is clearly exploring ways to strengthen the receiving core around both Stafford now and Ty Simpson in the future. The Rams are thinking beyond just one season. They're trying to build a transition plan where the next quarterback eventually inherits a strong supporting cast rather than being forced to carry a rebuilding offense immediately. And there's another key detail here that fans shouldn't ignore. Davante Adams may not be part of this team for many years. There's already speculation about retirement possibilities down the road depending on how the next season unfolds. If the Rams make a deep playoff run or even reach another Super Bowl, there's a real possibility that several veterans begin thinking seriously about stepping away. Matthew Stafford himself could eventually face those same questions, so the Rams are preparing for multiple timelines simultaneously. That's why the front office continues monitoring potential receiver options who may become available later, especially around the trade deadline. One name already generating attention is Kayshon Boutte from the Patriots. If New England brings in additional expensive receiving talent, Boutte's role could shrink significantly, and the Rams may see him as an affordable, valuable third option who could fit perfectly in Sean McVay's offense. He's not A.J. Brown, obviously, but the Rams may not need another superstar there. They may simply need someone dependable who can stretch the field, create depth, and protect the offense if injuries happen. Another interesting possibility mentioned recently is Josh Downs from Indianapolis. Downs has already shown flashes of real production despite inconsistent quarterback situations throughout his career. And if there's one thing we know about Matthew Stafford, it's that he elevates receivers who understand spacing and timing. In McVay's offense, a player like Downs could potentially become much more dangerous than people expect. The Rams have consistently found ways to maximize players who fit their offensive identity, even if those players were overlooked elsewhere. But maybe the most fascinating potential option discussed recently is Marvin Mims from Denver. And honestly, this one feels very believable because Mims brings exactly the type of speed element the Rams have quietly been searching for over the last few years. Sean McVay has repeatedly looked for someone capable of stretching defenses vertically and creating explosive plays downfield. The Rams hoped Tutu Atwell would fully evolve into that role consistently, but adding another explosive speed threat like Mims could completely change defensive spacing for this offense. And remember, special teams value matters too. Mims has experience contributing there as well, which only increases his attractiveness as a possible target. The Rams always value versatility, especially for players lower on the receiver depth chart. Every roster spot matters when you're trying to build a championship contender. But of course, the biggest rumor everyone keeps talking about is MAXX CROSBY. And this is where things become really complicated, because the idea of pairing MAXX CROSBY with the Rams' defensive front sounds absolutely terrifying for opposing quarterbacks. The possibility alone is enough to get fans excited. Crosby brings relentless energy, elite pass-rushing ability, and the type of intensity Sean McVay would absolutely love inside that locker room. The question is whether the Raiders would actually move him. Some insiders believe Las Vegas could reconsider everything if the team struggles early in the season again. And if that happens, the Rams would almost certainly at least explore the possibility. But the cost would be enormous. Reports suggest the Raiders would likely demand a 2027 first-round pick, plus Byron Young in a potential deal. That's a massive price to pay, especially when Crosby himself would eventually command an enormous contract extension afterward. Still, this is exactly why the Ty Simpson decision matters so much. The Rams now feel more comfortable discussing future draft assets because they already took a shot on a quarterback they believe in. That changes everything strategically. And honestly, Rams fans, this entire situation leaves us with one massive question moving forward. Are the Rams preparing for one more blockbuster swing before the trade deadline arrives? Or are they simply positioning themselves to stay flexible if the perfect opportunity suddenly appears? What do you think the Rams should do if a player like MAXX CROSBY actually becomes available?